Good evening and welcome to my interpersonal communication project. My name is Stewart and I will be your lecturer. Today we're going to discuss interpersonal communication along with some goals, barriers, and action plans to help me and hopefully others with their communication. So, communication is a bit of a lost art, and I believe our technology has, in a sense, degraded our conversation depth and abilities. The need is great out there, however, too many people don't know of the need for communication and how poor it is today, and the desire to repair it kind of is nil because no one's really addressing it. So a few people just simply sit and talk, and being 37 years old, I'm old enough to remember fond memories of just hanging out on a grandfather's porch and just talking, where I think a lot of really good, deep conversations happened, kind of in the quiet of the night. A true desire to listen instead of attending to ourselves, unfortunately, has not become the norm. And our individualistic nature as Americans, I believe, contributes to that to a certain degree. So with our technology, we've kind of created short spurts of convo rather than conversation. And it's invaded, I'm afraid, our daily communication with everyone. NetNanny.com, for example, lists over 200 shorthands, such as LOL or BFF. Along with Twitter and text, we understand we don't type in long, correct, grammatically correct sentences. And I'm afraid this actually gets into our daily speech with others. And I'm afraid it's really pushing at least two generations into a poorer form of communicating with one another. And when this pervades our home and relationships, so much is lost in translation. Our youngest generation may never actually know the true art of communication if we do not take time to instill it in them. If we don't, I'm afraid there's going to be a lot of stress and broken relationships 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. The overarching goal of enlarging the conversation, I believe, though, willful execution of carefully inhaling as well as exhaling, understanding our place within the conversation, and as a sentence I put up, to expand each moment of communication for the benefit of growing every relationship for the betterment of myself and for others. A huge part of enlarging the conversation is exhaling and inhaling. Through inhaling our partner's words, actions, motions, and mannerisms before exhaling, we put the other person first. And in doing so, we take the initiative of enlarging the conversation rather than expecting the other person to do so. While I felt repeatedly, I do understand the importance of understanding my place within the context of every conversation as an employee, spouse, father, brother, friend, confidant, counselor. Each of these roles requires the use of enlarging the conversation, but could be somewhat altered depending upon the moment. I don't believe we should box ourselves in through hard and fast rules, but rather keep the intent of what enlarging the conversation should be in mind during each moment of communication. The behavioral blend. I think sometimes we think those around us are like us because we surround ourselves oftentimes with like-minded people. And in doing so, we can say and do anything we would like to do. And we just assume that they should just get me and understand who I am and where I'm coming from. But the reality is that each person is different. They act different, think different, feel different, believe different, and they even speak in their own unique way. And by understanding who we are in reference to what people expect, as opposed to who we really are, we have a more firm starting position for building conversations. The DISC personality type was created by Mel's Carbonell as a way to teach people who they are and how to better understand others. The DISC, in essence, stands for directive, influencing, cautious, and steady. Each word has many synonyms, but they're similar to those. And through a series of questions, we are told what we are. This benefits us in understanding ourselves as well as understanding how people respond to us based on their assumptions of who we are. As an SC, I found I am the most passive of all types. People expect me to be sensitive and competent, but I take this too far at times and allow others to take advantage of me. Also, I can take a lot of abuse silently until it explodes, rather than letting others know how I feel and releasing it slowly. Also, giving myself away too often and leave nothing for myself, resulting in a common burnout. I can also be very steady and calm at times and collected during high-stress moments, so sometimes people look to me during a crisis. What's expected of me as an SC, people expect me to be sensitive. I'm also expected to be competent, so I often try too hard to either be that way or appear that way out of fear of letting them down. I tend to think that people want me to be good at finding out information, and because I'm caring and a rule follower, people look to me for advice. But the real me, I am caring, and I do feel that I have to be competent. I also do feel like I don't like being in front of crowds, but force myself to overcome these moments, like right now, because people expect me to be that way. So kind of a catch-22. Also, people think that I am law-abiding, but I find that oftentimes I either think I know better, unfortunately, or I believe in a higher power, such as God's law, or sometimes I show a secret wild side that is not passive at all, and I'll do something really wild, and I'll do something really crazy. Barriers to communications. As emotional creatures, I've oftentimes allowed my emotions to rule my mood through, hopefully, I believe, through sanctification. I've learned a little by little to die to myself every day. Unfortunately, because I'm an SC and very passive, and I tend to take a lot from other people, I take this too far and ignore my own needs. And I've tried to slowly learn somewhat of a balance in maintaining my own needs, be it spiritual, personal, physical, or health, while letting go of selfish desires. Either because I'm a man or just because I'm a fallen creature, pride oftentimes sneaks up on me. And if I'm not careful, it can cause me to begin a degenerative communication spiral. Part of my SC personality means that I have to appear confident and willing to absorb a lot from others, and I tend to take on too much, such as right now I'm a full-time student, I have a full-time job, I'm a father of 4 children, and I'm trying to be a good husband, and I'm trying to be a Sunday school teacher at church. And I do all this until I approach almost a breakdown. At a moment of weakness, I can allow pride to infiltrate and ruin what would have been positive conversations and communication with friends and family. And the number 2 easily leads into a number 3 of being flat-brained. As an SC, I tend to allow emotions to swell and swell until I cannot contain it, and then my brain goes flat. During flat brain, my thinking is distorted, of course, and poor choices are at the ready to be deployed. Lastly, as noted, I tend to keep everything inside of it as an SC. Before I was married, I had very few close friends, and even those weren't really close enough to know me well. I was content to be alone for days on end. While I was in the military, I oftentimes volunteered for anything that was solo, and I enjoyed the isolation from others, even in the middle of battle, oftentimes. While it felt comforting, I know the unhealthiness of extended solitude. Sometimes this desire to be alone pops up and causes me to want to push others away, but my wife, thankfully, has taught me that allowing others into my bubble actually builds me up rather than tears me down. Internal noise pollution is all those events happening internally that hamper effective communication. Because God wired us to be able to think much more rapidly than speak, when we listen, our mind has plenty of free time to wander about, and this void gives me a chance to think on other things, pretend to listen, fill in the blanks with my own thoughts. And also for retorts, we must be careful to control our bias. The individualistic society in America teaches us from a young age to look out for number 1. We don't trust strangers, salesmen, and sometimes even friends because we are taught kind of in a way that everybody is out for themselves, and oftentimes people are there to take from you or take advantage of you. This nurture-taught bias is a propensity to invade our daily conversations where our bias can sneak up on us as we seek out whatever it is we are desiring. And in the middle of all this self-serving modes, our interpersonal communication is broken down. Our emotional state can also serve to defeat our communication. Others rarely take the time to understand what life is like at any particular moment, but may expect us to be ready to listen to them at any time. And our task-oriented nature of society keeps us on the move constantly. Overload's a common problem for Americans as we tend to pile on too much on our plates. In overrun moments, we're in no condition to listen effectively. External noise communication, such as I have 4 children, and they can be loud, they can be throwing things, running, doing lots of words that end in ing that can make it really difficult to have a true conversation with someone. Also, our media is constantly bombarding us with what the world believes to be the truth, and this serves as a kind of a continuous external communication, or external noise rather, especially in a city where I live, such as Las Vegas. So an action plan that I've developed is keeping the flat brainitis in check, maintaining awareness of my SC personality type, constantly striving to stick to the talker, listener card, giving others room to excel, controlling how I excel and inhale, and continue growing my relationship with Christ, as that is the catalyst, I believe, to drive the closest attained with others. Thank you.